This is Tuna on Toast.
Claudio, it's Stryker. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm hanging. I'm just sitting here, actually rehearsing, getting ready for the show we're doing on Monday or the next week.
Wait, the show that you're doing in New York City, the record release show?
Well, that too, but we're also going to the Dominican Republic to do like this festival with Tool. They have like this resort retreat thing that they're doing, and we were asked to do it. So yeah, so we're going there for one off, and then back home, and then the record release show.
No big deal. Just Tool says, come play a show with us. Where does Tool rank for you, if anywhere, in terms of a band you love, like, interactions with them over the years?
We did play a festival with them maybe a few years back. But as I did very much like them growing up for sure. I mean, I remember seeing them on the second stage at like Lollapalooza. I want to say it was 1993. Like Rage had opened up and they were on the second stage yeah, I mean, and those first few records or first, yeah, I got down with them for sure.
As did I. Let's rewind 12 seconds. You were at Lollapalooza just as a kid going to see bands?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. And that was in New York or New Jersey? Where were you?
Yep, it was at Randall's Island in New York. And yeah, it was wild. Rage opened and I
What?
remember I was like, I'm going up front. And then like it was so dusty and really dry. And so when they started and everyone started losing their minds, I was like, I'd never witnessed any chaos like that before. So I was like, I gotta go. This ain't for
Right.
me.
Was Ice-T or Ice Cube on that bill as well, or no?
I think that might have been the year that maybe the first year, or I'm not entirely sure, but I know Right Body Count was on the year that Jane's like did it, the first year. But I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember the lineup that well. I remember Tool and I remember Rage. Uh, but yeah, those were like the early in the day because of so.
I don't know about you, but band t-shirts and merch from that time, I actually had. And then as time went, I'm like, I don't need this crap, and I threw it away. And then I saved stuff that I shouldn't have saved.
Right.
Did you at that time, were you into buying the shirts at the shows you went to?
No, not really. I mean, the first show I went to was like Black Sabbath at the
Oh,
Beacon Theater with Dio fronting, and the shirt that I got actually was a bootleg outside, and it was like a tie dye with the imagery from the record that they were touring on at the time, which was called Dehumanizer. So that I remember that shirt I got, but I don't think I ever realized going to shows that there was merchandise. I just it was not a thing on my radar, so I wasn't purchasing a whole lot of things at that time.
you just mentioned Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne. It's everywhere. His last show is coming up. Maybe he'll do 3 songs, maybe 5 songs. What does Ozzy mean to you as a professional, as just someone that likes music and Black Sabbath in general?
Oh, Black Sabbath. I mean, that first record, I mean, it taught me a lot of guitar playing for sure. Like we used to, the bands that I was in at the time, I mean, we were children. We were learning how to play, and that was a record. Like The Wizard with the harmonica happening, like at the front of it. That was my favorite song on that record. But I also really loved Black Sabbath, just the straight up opener. Like to me, that like down, down, down. Like that's so special to me for some reason. And for a while, Coheed has always talked about potentially doing a cover of that song. We never get around to doing it, but we have fooled around with it. But yeah, Black Sabbath. I mean, it was huge, and like the fact that I got to my first show was Sabbath, like an incarnation of Sabbath, with Dio, and then Coheed got to play with that same lineup later in our career was like, this full circle, really special moment for me. I mean, yeah, I love Sabbath, and I know Travis loves Sabbath, so
When you and Travis started Coheed, and equal starting it together, right? You and Travis?
Well, I started a band called Shibuti that this sort of became in 1995. So I had started a band with a couple of guys up in Woodstock, New York. So I lived like a commuter town at the time, was living in a commuter town just outside of New York City. So I would go to school with a guitar on my back and an amp, and my dad would be like, "What are you doing, taking all that stuff to school?" I'd be like, I got to play in the jazz band." And then I would go and I'd get in on a bus and I'd go all the way up to New York, up to Woodstock, and I'd stay there for like weeks at times and recording songs uh, with four-track cassette players, like just, making what we thought were records. And so eventually, Travis did join the band because at some point I was like, I think, I could use another guitar player to like sort of bounce back and forth off of.
Right.
So yeah, but eventually like Coheed just kind of became the band it is out of Shibuti because when we signed to Equal Vision in 2001, they thought the name was terrible. And I don't disagree.
Ah,
But I had been fooling around with this project that I had called Coheed and Cambria that was really it was a programmed electronic thing with acoustic accompaniment. So almost like bedroom pop, right? Like I was recording on four tracks and it's eventually what Prize Fighter became. Um, but everybody really liked the name Coheed and Cambria, but they didn't know that I had this crazy concept that was going along with it. And and so when we adopted the name, I brought all that crazy along with it.
one of the many things that I really dig about you and the band is I don't think someone needs to know every single bit of the story and go deep into the weeds on the comics. It's like, here's a great song, here's a great album. Coheed's done 10 or 11 of them. The live shows rule, the instrumentization, if I said that correct, is great. When folks in the business started hearing you guys or seeing you guys play live, did anyone have an idea that there was like this comic book story stuff that you're blending two worlds together?
Not really, because it was something I was kind of keeping to myself. I mean, I created the concept purely out of insecurity, right? Like I had a hard time being sort of the front man of the band. Like when I became that singer person, I was like, I just the songs that I'm going to be singing about, I don't necessarily want people to know the truth of them. Like Second Stage Turbine Blade, for example, like it sounds very science fiction, but it was actually the part that my dad worked on in a factory. He heat treated second stage turbine blades for airplane parts. And the Amory Wars is taken from the street that I grew up on, Amory Drive. So it was very much about family. And the things that I was singing about, like I didn't want to villainize anyone that was a participant in those songs, and I also just didn't know how to navigate like the attention that came with being the front man. So it was like I'm gonna have to answer to this stuff, and it's easier for me to say it's this thing over here.
Sure. Right. Yeah, that makes total sense. I have a
um,
question about being a front man and about kind of the goals of the band in 2002.
what's that?
Like what were the goals of the band in 2001 or 2002 when the debut album came out? Like what were your hopes for the project?
I mean, I think I didn't really know at that time. At that time, I was doing an internship in Manhattan for a studio called Mother West. So I was like I went to school for audio engineering, and at that time I was like, okay, well I probably should start considering a plan B because this rock thing isn't happening. But anyway, like Equal Vision was interested, signed the band, and we were putting out a record. So I was like, I either have to commit to that or not, say goodbye to the dream. And I just didn't know what to expect because we had to get into a van. This idea of like what touring looks like when you grow up through the 80s and you see like Poison and like all that stuff. It's like buses and stadiums and and then your perception kind of gets a little warped, and then you get into the reality of it when we're in like the 90s, early 2000s. Like when we're starting to go see like At the Drive-In and the Get Up Kids, and you're like, oh, that seems to me more the route I'd like to go because it's less it feels like there's less weight put on you, right? And so for me, I just wanted to see what it was like. And we got in a van and we did it. And here we are still. Just the van got bigger. And the amps got bigger and that stuff. Guitars got cooler.
Congratulations. Congratulations on just an incredible career that you have created through the hard work and great songs. And what a fantastic fan base that you have. The new record comes out on March 14th. Can we talk about a few of the songs that stick out to me? It's not out yet as we do this, but thank you for sending me the album.
Have you heard it? Oh, you have? Oh, I think Blaze told me that. Yes. So you heard it. So cool.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay. In no particular order.
Okay.
Yesterday's Lost.
Oh,
This is a ballad. This I rewound like 4 times in a row going, what did I just hear? I got the goosebumps listening. And like, I don't need to know plot of songs, but like, tell me what this song means to you, please, or how it came about.
so while I was constructing this record, I had a really hard time finding the identity of this record because I was so proud of the last one. I thought Window of the Waking Mind is like before Father of Make Believe has been my favorite Coheed record. Like I was like, and not just because it was the record that came out at that time. I was just like, this is how I always wanted Coheed to be. And so when in trying to discover the identity of Father of Make Believe, my uncle passed away. And he was pretty young. That was, it was very sad. And it his wife, I just really like thought a lot about her. And then it reminded me of my grandfather who's lived 35, 40 years of his life without his wife. And I just got to thinking like, wow, I'm getting older. This is going to happen. Hopefully not soon, but what would life look like if I wasn't here or if my wife wasn't? And so that really started to kind of dress the identity of the record, like all of these questions that I've really started to ask myself in my midlife, like just what would life have been like had I not suggested the concept with Coheed, or what does the future look like when potentially the concept is over, like all of these things. But Yesterday's Lost is very much about is about mortality, and losing a loved one, and just how that really kind of puts you down this path. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Is it a song that you will play live?
Probably, yes. Yeah. I want to think of creative ways to do it because there was a lot of interesting instrumentation that went into it, and all of it was recorded in here.
Come on.
Yeah.
If you guys are listening to this, you can watch this video, this chat on my YouTube channel. Wow, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, I do a lot of the writing, recording in here, drums and stuff like that we'll do in, better facilities. But like I've been writing songs in my bedroom since I was 12, 13 years old, and I find myself more comfortable with it. And the more I get older, I'm like, I enjoy that. But like there was a lot of interesting instrumentation. Like, I used like a rubber hose like on the guitar to make it feel very like intimate and plucky. And that the instruments behind me right here, the Mellotron, a lot of the strings, the initial strings were done on that digital Mellotron, but the thing in the case beneath it, this guy is called a Therovox, and it emulates this old French synthesizer called an Ons Martineau that is almost like a controlled theremin where you would like control the oscillators via like a ring on a string. And Radiohead uses something like it a lot, or did, and so that's like the whimsical like sort of thing that happens in the background that sounds very almost like strings or like a slide guitar, but a little less, a little more magical. But yeah, yes, I mean, I would like to do that song live for sure.
Excellent. Okay. You are the father of make believe. The album is awesome. Goodbye Sunshine. Oh, okay. I don't know what the hell this is about. I don't care. I mean, I guess at one point I will, but this thing is moving. This song is humming along, and like hands reached out of my speaker and shook me around a little bit. I love this tune.
Oh, so sick. So again, going in the trajectory after yesterday's loss, the questions of where I'm going. That song is about standing at the funeral procession of Coheed and
Oh
Cambria
my God.
and celebrating all the good and the bad that it's afforded me in life. And but yeah, that's what Goodbye Sunshine is.
Then there's another song. I'm like, wait a minute, is this really just a 2 minute and 20-second song? And it's a forward momentum, no slowing down. I hope you don't hate me for this, but it's like my treadmill song, and it's Blindside Sunny.
Right. Okay. So Blindside Sunny, it's interesting. It's so there's two songs on the record that I didn't record in this room. I actually recorded that one and Mary of Mercy in Paris.
I love that song as well. That's on my list. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, right on. So my wife and I, we took a writing retreat. She went to Italy to finish a novel, and I stayed in Paris. And Paris is kind of where I created the initial idea of Coheed and Cambria in 1998. And I find myself in that city every once in a while just to kind of be inspired, and maybe something comes of it. But Blindside, so I realized now, like kind of like looking back at the moment, it's really the first time I had been alone in a long time. Like Coheed wasn't there. My son was with the grandparents back in the States. So these two songs were very much like, Blindside, myself, like torturing myself with all of these questions. I'm alone. I'm with myself finally, and I'm just beating myself up. So Blindside kind of that rage kind of came out of that, I think. And whereas Mary of Mercy is sort of the opposite side of it, where I am longing for that companionship and I kind of want that person to come back. That song, I thought about it, because my grandfather passed away during the pandemic, and I thought about him. I brought his character back in the story of the Amory Wars, and I was wondering like what him reuniting with my grandmother would have been like. And so while I was writing that song, that was something I was thinking about. I had a beautiful view from this Airbnb. I could see Sacré-Cœur in the distance, and like I was just, really just kind of thinking of them reconnecting in some magical way. And but yeah, those two songs kind of came out of that little writing session.
I have another song I want to throw at you, but a question first. I've had a lot of bands, super grateful, that have been on my radio show or my podcast, and some of them that started in the year 2000 or maybe even a little bit before say they love creating new music, but they don't feel like they need to right now because they're just having a good time touring, playing their songs, their 25 songs that people love. And it's like, we're not really dying to go back in the studio. What is it about you and the guys that you're like, no, we're continuing. We are very prolific. Here's new songs, new story, etc.
I mean, I think it's just something I love to do. I love to create. Like I said, I've been creating music since I was 12, 13 years old. Like it's something it's like at this point it's necessity. It's like as much as I love to do it. My wife said some crazy thing the other day. We were learning about I don't know if I'm going to do this any justice, but so my great uncle was this like Puerto Rican folk singer named Chuito El de Bayamon. I don't really speak Spanish, but apparently like we were talking a lot about him because Bad Bunny sampled one of his songs.
No way.
And
Wow.
so my sister she went down there because I guess every year they celebrate him because he was like the first musician to get on the radio down in PR. And so she was telling us about his story and that he and his brother that they were orphaned, and he kept, he supported his brother by playing music, these young kids. And so my wife was talking about something like this generational trauma that So she was almost like, that kind of makes sense because you need to do this, you know? And I'm like, oh, I don't know if that makes any sense,
Makes
Stryker,
total sense. No, it
but
makes total sense.
but yeah, like, so like this idea that like, and I do, like, I wake up in the morning, I wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and this is the first place I go.
Wow.
You
Wow.
know, and I'm working. I turn on the modular synths. I got, you know, I got
Sure.
guitar. You know, everything. I'm just, I I don't. I just love to do this. I guess I do need to do it because it is. It's very therapeutic to me.
Right.
It's like it is. It's just part of my life.
It makes sense because obviously I'm in a different bubble, but still I have a mic, I have a light, I have prep, I have like, oh my God, what am I going to say? We're going to fill some time. We're going to have a good conversation. I think it keeps me sharp and it keeps me healthy and it keeps
Right.
me happy. And I still get that really good anxiety because it's walking on a tightrope and maybe I'm just going to fall right down on it. Even I've been doing this a long time.
Right. Yeah. That's great. I love it.
Someone who can, I've already played it on my show, but I want to play it again right now. This is such a good tune. You want to give a little intro for it and we'll play it right now?
Uh, what, like the intro would be like, "Hey, I'm
No,
Claudio
just
from
be like,
Coheed."
just give me 20 seconds, 30 seconds on how the song feels for you and what you think of someone who can.
Oh, you know, I think Someone Who Can is such an interesting song because I wrote that as a solo song, and I put it. So I had 30 songs for this record. Sorry, I'm doing a horrible job of introing this song. It's
No,
going
this is
all
perfect.
But so I had 30 songs for this record, and that version of the first version of that song was all acoustic, piano, box drum. I was just doing whatever, like I just trying something new. And I put it in the folder when I gave it to Zach Cervini,
Hmm.
who did the record with me. I asked him, I said, if there's any egregious omissions, you let me know and we'll try to make them more, I guess, Coheed friendly or whatever have you. And like, and he picked Someone Who Can. That was the first song he picked. And so now we have this version.
Beautifully done. Zach Cervini, is this the first time you work with this young, very smart aficionado?
No, we worked with him on Window of the Waking Mind.
Oh, very, very nice. What is it about him that you vibe with? And like, give me some qualities that you did like.
I just trust him so much. Like after Window of the Waking Mind, I mean, I get to record a lot of the stuff here, so in my comfort zone. Um, and he gives a perspective on things that, you know, I live with the material for so long. Like I might be hard for me to see something's potential, and he gives me a perspective that I really trust and something that I've been looking for in like a producer partner for a long time. And he does. I mean, some great songs came out of working with him. Shoulders, Disappearing Act, Someone Who Can. Like, uh, you know, he saw something in it that, you know, I mean, I liked the song, but I didn't know if it was Coheed ready, and we really made it Coheed ready. So, um, I don't know. I just think he's a tremendous talent, and I just trust the music with him.
I love hearing that. Let's rewind a little bit. Coheed played 3 or 4 Warp Tours over the years. When you first played a Warp Tour, did anyone know who the hell you were? Was it difficult? Were you on a small stage? What happened?
Yeah, no, nobody knew who we were. I mean, we played the first Warped Tour we did. We only did a couple of weeks of it. We were in a van, which was very difficult. I think the next time we did it, we may have still been in a van, if not a van and RV. So I mean, you know, it's just it was fun. It was fun. I mean, but you know, I wish I was a little more confident. I wish I had some of the confidence I do now. Because I'm so shy, very introverted. You know, it takes a lot for me to socialize. Um, and so I feel like, you know, the fun I had was definitely in the Coheed bubble, if that makes any sense.
Did you meet being an introvert and being shy? Did you meet any other bands that you liked? Did you see bands that you never heard of before that maybe you still enjoy today?
You know, I do not remember. No, yeah, man, it's so tough. You know what? If I remember correctly, I remember seeing this band called, I think it's called Facing New York. I believe they were called Facing New York. Eventually, I think one of the guitar players ended up playing in Taking Back Sunday.
Oh
Uh,
wow, okay.
but I remember seeing them on one of the smaller stages and really like enjoying them. But I don't think they're a band anymore. Um, but for the most part, it's just so hard to navigate the festivals. Like, the more the older, not necessarily the older I got, but like at that time, even at that time, like, festivals, I mean, I had done them. I did Woodstock 94. I did a bunch of the Lollapaloozas and, a couple of those early Warped Tours, I guess I was ready for, but shortly after that, I was like, I can't walk around the festival grounds anymore. I can't do it. I don't know why. I think because it's just the anxiety of so many people. Like walking around when we were young, like last year, I was like,
Yeah.
I was really doing it for my son. I was like,
When you were when we were young, did your son did he ask about like the slot machines walking through the hotel? Was he curious about any of those things?
not really. I think my wife explained to him that those are games for adults, but like, but yeah, I don't think he really had that much interest in them.
Another aspect of your creativity that I really enjoyed when you did the covers album, I sometimes think when artists do covers, they do bands I know, but sometimes I don't even know what the songs are. I
Oh,
love,
right.
I love that you did Pompeii. I love that you did Just Like Heaven, Under the Milky Way, The Church. I love that you did The Smith. Like those songs were so well done. And should I be surprised that you love The Church and Smiths? Is were those in your wheelhouse growing up?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember back in when I was in the first band, the Shibuti band, like we went down to before I lived in the city, we went down to Generation Records and I bought the Smiths and I remember listening to it in the van and the drummer at the time was like making fun of me. I was like, "Wow, this is great. I love what are you not getting from this?" But I think there's definitely a lot of the Smiths and Morrissey's sort of delivery in what I do. Like I think I've taken a little from that. Like when I think of a song like The Suffering, for example, and like how sort of it's presented musically in this like sort of poppy kind of fashion, but yet the lyrics don't match the aesthetic of the song. And so I think a little of that I got from, listening to the Smiths for sure. But yeah, I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to music. I mean, I always like even in for Coheed, for example, like I never wanted to create like any limitations. I never wanted to be I never wanted like the scene that we were a part of to basically like curate what the band was going to be. Like for me, it was like I just loved all types of music, and I wanted to use every type of music as a palette for the palette of making songs for Coheed and Cambria.
And you've done an amazing job doing that, and you can see it because you'll go on the road with Mastodon, you go on the road with Incubus, The Morning View, then back with Taking Back Sunday, and it's like, man, you're here for everybody in the most unforced, authentic way. And I can't tell you how cool it is to have watched you over all these years and all the success. The father of make believe. The new album is coming out March 14th. That's who you are. That's who you are. The father of make believe. Claudio Sanchez. We're going to wrap it there. We did it exactly at the exact time we're supposed to do it.
Right on.
Well, are you embarrassed? What's going on? Did I do something?
No, that's it's great. It's great.
Oh, no. Did I do bad at the end?
No, it was great. I think it's awesome. I was saying to my wife because we were talking about the father of make believe, and just the ambiguity of the title. Like, yeah, one could say that like because of my creating the concept and that being part of it, but the father of make believe is actually inside the story is the character of Vaxis, and I almost feel like it's the thing that connects me to that character. And I had said that to my wife. I was like, I'm kind of the father of make believe. And she was like, oh, don't say that. I was like, no, I don't mean like self-proclaim. I'm just saying with
Yes.
me, the character.
Let her know that your friend Ted Stryker on a podcast that she's never heard of just said that, and then we're all going to be really good friends. Thank you so much for jumping on. I really appreciate it. Good luck with the album release and playing Irvine Plaza and the stream and the tour the rest of this year, man. Much love to you, Claudio.
Oh, thank you very much, Ted. I appreciate it. This was very nice.
Hope you enjoyed. Now hit that subscribe button. And for more Tuna on Toast, listen wherever you get your podcasts.